Hey guys, this is Ted with the Slot Car Daddy channel, and in this series of videos that are coming out, this will be part one. We're going to take a vintage Eldon 1967, 69, somewhere around there. This is a vintage Eldon slot car body. It's a beautiful body. I've raced this car when I was very small. I was probably 7 or 8 years old when I actually raced this car. We're going to mount that body to a modern slotted chassis, angle winder, and this chassis is going to have to be modified in several places in order to get this to fit. I will not be modifying the Eldon body for good reason. I'm going to keep that all original. I'm not going to do anything to the body, so everything will be done in the chassis to get this thing to mount. I have wheels, tires on order that are coming. The ones that are on here are a little bit too wide. I want things tucked up inside the body, and we'll be back in a minute to get started. But here's how I came about this chassis. A good friend of mine, his name's Dave. He's a fellow YouTuber. He's in the HO train, model train community. I watch his channel. I've been following him for probably a good year and a half. He was dabbling in slot cars for a little bit, and I guess he decided to devote 100% to trains. So he had given away most of his stuff, and he had this chassis, and he asked me through a comment if I would like for him to send me a surprise. I didn't know what it was until it showed up here at my house. So I want to say thank you, Dave. Appreciate it, because now I got a chassis to put under this Eldon body that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. Anyway, his channel is HO Powered Train. His name is Dave. He's an artist in his own right. You got to check out his channel. Like, comment, and subscribe on his videos. He's a good dude. He's a young guy. He's going to keep the train hobby going. Anyway, let's get back to this hacking on this chassis we're about to start. I got several issues to start off with. It's a slotted chassis, and it's a late model 1967 to 69 Ford J. Now I've already adjusted the front wheelbase to where my wheels are centered with the body. And remember, I'm trying to do this without mangling the body or having to cut the body in any way. Anyway, the first issue we have is going to be right here. Here's the guide. These are the mounts for the wires that come in from the top with grub screws. It sits right on the guide blade. So I'm not going to be able to use the original guide blade. It's just not going to work. I'd have to notch out the front end, and I'm just not going to do that. So let me point out the other issues we got here first. So mounting this body is not going to be much of a problem, I don't think. We have our mounting post for the rear of the car, and it should, and I've already looked at it, it lines up fairly well with the stock body mount on the chassis. That's not going to be a problem. So the upper mount, as you can see right here, it drops down into no man's land. You can see the rails right here. That's going to drop down right here where there's nothing there. That shouldn't be a problem. I'm going to scab a piece in there. I'm going to weld it in with a little bit of magic, and we'll drill a hole, and the body will mount to this no problem. Now what I've done is I've drilled out that hole that's just behind the snap-in guide. I drilled it out to a 4mm drill bit. So I'm not going to be able to use that slotted guide or any guide that has a front top loader wiring type thing, because it just protrudes out too far. So what I'm going to do, as you can see here, this is a Scalextric quick guide, quick release braid plate. This is the actual guide here, and it's a 4.2mm shaft. So let me show you what I had to do to this. And this will sit back in that new hole that I drilled out. It's a screw in, so it has a screw to go on top, but if you look at it, you see that half rounded ledge goes around the post. and straightens out at the ends. Those are guide stops on a scale electric car. That's got to go. I took that ledge out that goes all the way around the post, the guide stop, and I dremeled it out. I didn't want to show you that because it was painstakingly long. So now it will sit flat in there just like the slotted guide, but further back. I've got the scale electric guide in there, guide plate, and it's screwed in. As you can see, it's now behind where the slotted one was. There's your slotted guide, top loader. So you can see where I have to solder wires to that little tiny tab, and it's not much room. Now I'm still not sure this is going to work, but it seems to clear. As you can see, we come around, I'm coming around, and it's not interfering at this point with anything. I mean, there's no guide stop now, so I mean, if I do a spin out and it goes all the way around, it's probably gonna it's a good chance that it'll either rip the wire out. And I put in the pickups. Okay, let me show you what that looks like underneath on a scale electric. Most of you guys already know, I'm sure. This is what it looks like underneath, and then you have a quick change braid, which is right there, and it's really neat. They just slide on and lock into place. Pretty cool. Anyway, we're getting closer. We're solving one problem at a time. I got at least three issues that I'm going to have to do, but I do have a order coming in. Should be back here, or should be delivered here probably tomorrow, according to the thing. Tomorrow or Wednesday. And picked up a couple slot cars too. Don't tell anybody, but you know, sometimes you got to treat yourself to something, and I haven't bought a slot car in over a year. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're going to tackle this, and we're going to come back. I'm going to screw that on through that hole, and we'll just make sure the wires are going to clear when it swivels on the chassis as it goes around a turn. Okay, fellas. Yep, I was wrong. These tabs that I'm going to solder into, they will have wires coming up and over to the motor, and they're going to hit this original mount here for the slotted guide. That's got to come off, and we're going to have to take off. We're going to have to just take off these here, this side and the other side. All right, fellas, we got our line here where our wheelbase is going to set, and now we're going to cut back here. Draw my lines out. I'm not measuring anything. It's not that big of a deal. This part of the chassis is scrap to me. The other thing that has to come off is this. The original mount. I just want to draw it out so you can see it. That original mount's coming out of there so that my scale electrics won't interfere. I thought it would clear, but you know, I could have put a spacer, but you know, there's going to be a wire coming up and over. There'll be wires coming to it. So anyway, let's get hacking on this thing, man. It's going to work. We'll make it work. Let's get this adjustable slider off of here. Nope, got the wrong tool, man. Might help to use the right tool around here if I can find it. There it is. We're just going to go ahead and take this screw out, take the nut off. There goes the nut. And there goes the washer and the screw. So now that piece comes off. You guys can see that. That has my guide on it. We got to cut a piece there. We got to cut pieces here. I know you guys are going, what is he doing with that slotted chassis? He's just cutting it up. But what I'm doing is I'm going to get this car, my baby,
to run again. And that's just the way it's going to be. We're going to hack, and we're going to hack the chassis. We're not going to hack the body. All right, fellas, we got the shears. I want to tell you something, Dave, if you're listening, I appreciate you giving me this chassis, but I have a project I'm committed to doing right now, and I'm going to just go ahead and cut that off, cut that off, cut that one. Now let's go to this side. We'll turn it around. Hopefully you can see this. I'll tell you right now, if none of this works, then you guys will never see this video anyway. Woo! That's some hard plastic. That's some bit shot off like a damn bullet. It's pretty stiff still. I'm probably going to go ahead and put some JB weld out on the front here, shape it, get it on here so that it looks halfway decent. But this piece has to come off. So there's a piece of that right there. Get that out of there. I'm not sure I can do this with shears without cracking something. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut through the center part like that. That comes off. I don't know if you've seen that, but that might be enough right there. I think we're going to leave it at that, and we're going to take a quick look and see what it looks like. Now we're just kneading the old JB weld. This stuff is so good. This happens to be the water weld, but it dries hard. It's just a different formula. You could actually put this underwater and fix a pipe or something if you had a leak. I mean, I wouldn't use it for underwater, but this is what was available here at my garage. I just take a little piece. I'm going to set that down right there for a minute. You don't have a whole lot of time to work with this stuff, so we got to get it on here. All right, guys, we're going to... What's going on with this thing? Are we recording? I guess so. Alright, fellas, we're going to let that dry. As you can see a little close-up of it, we closed up the ends. JB Weld, available at your local hardware store. We'll let that set up. That'll get painted. We're going to put everything back together, and we're going to solder it up, and we're going to see what we get. I love hacking things up, except for I don't want to hack up that body, and that's why we're doing all this. You can see where it's looking at right now, and once it's all done, hopefully she'll be all right. What I'm doing, I cut the front guide post off for the original guide. Now I'm shaping the I had to shave the edges off of the what I would call in a real car like an A-frame. The tire width. You come up against here, and that's all and they're too thick, so my tires were sticking out. So I just took a little, just like that. Took a little bit off. Now I get the right width I want. All right, fellas. So we went ahead and painted the front of the chassis where we had cut it, and here's where the JB weld is. Closed up that slotted area. The guide has been shaped. You can see the shape right here. I've cut it, that entire front part of the guide, sliding chassis part off. And we have our Scalextrics guide in there, screwed in over the top, and then we have our tabs right here. And we're going to solder into these next, and then we'll be ready to run a test just to see what she does. These are the wheels and tires I'm going to use, and the body fits on here beautifully. right to the edge of the fender. That's where I wanted it at. Let me bring the camera down. So now we got the wheels where they're gonna be, where they're gonna sit, and all we got to do now is solder that motor in, and we'll be doing a test run. Let's get the solder on there, guys. See what we come up with. I always put just a little bit of flux where I'm gonna solder. We're just gonna tin these right here. Just a little bit. Don't need a lot, guys. Let me clean this tip off real quick. That's part of the problem. Then we're soldering with a dirty tip. Try this again on that one. There's my solder. There. We're going to tin these wires real quick. Hang on, we got to get a little bit of flux on there. Flux is your friend, so you know. Get a little bit more solder on there. I'm just going to tin this. That one's good. Clean off the tip. Get a little more solder on here. You don't need a lot, man. One thing I learned, and I'm not a professional at this, but when I solder little things, I used to always put way too much solder on everything, and then I wondered why. Let me redo this one here real quick. And I wonder why it all got messy. But anyway, we got everything tinned. I shouldn't need any more solder, so we're going to come out at this angle. And this is not the right tip, guys, but you know what? That's the only tip I have right now, so. One in. Let it sit there for a minute, and then they're in. Part 2, we're going to be dealing with mounting the actual body, where we're going to scab in a piece here for the front mount. This one lines up no problem. These got to come off. These got to come off because they sit right on the body like that, and yeah, that's not going to work either. So we got some more hacking to do, but that'll be part 2 when we mount the body. Anyway, we're going to test this thing, make sure it goes the right direction, and we'll come back for a test run in a little bit. Let's give it a shot, make sure she's going the right way. I'm pretty sure it is, but you're seeing it first too. Let's see if she takes off and goes. This ought to be epic. Second run, fellas. Second run. Let's see what happens. Gonna put my towel up here, or it's gonna fly off the track. Yeah, we got ourselves a running car. Now we have the body just sitting on it. Just see what she's gonna do. I can see I gotta still center up the wheelbase just a little bit. Shit. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah. Too much torque. It threw the body right off before it even got to the end. Alright, fellas. Hey, if you guys like this kind of content, like, comment, and subscribe. There's still part 2 and part 3 to come. Part 2 will be mounting the body, obviously, because this chassis on a test run, I just had the body sitting there
and it threw it off. Too much torque, too much horsepower. I love this little chassis, but we still got some more hacking to do. We'll be back with part 2 soon, mounting the body. Slot Car Daddy out. Appreciate all you guys. Merry Christmas.